welcome to HiveScience. It's good to see everybody here tonight. We have some good stuff coming at you, and thank you to my amazing live from, what are y'all over here? Yeah, on this one, you're over here. Live from the Hive side chat. These amazing folks who join us every Saturday morning to hang out and watch us do some CrypticCorner and Creation Watch, and then finally break it down with some Hive Sci. And today's Hive Sci is a Paleo peek. So let's dive right in to the ethical controversy that swirls around shark fossils from Mexico. About 90 million years ago, an unusual shark cruised the shallow seas, covering what is now Vallecillo in the Mexican state of Nuevo Leon. After the animal died, conditions on the seafloor were just right to preserve its soft tissue and long wing-like fins. Described last month in Science, the shark's name, Aquilolama milaresia, made headlines around the world for its surprising similarity to today's plankton-eating manta rays. But for some paleontologists, the publication by a team of mostly European scientists also raised a thorny question about the roles of private collections in their field and the lingering scientific colonialism. The paper originally said the specimen was purchased by a collector, which is illegal under Mexican law. A public museum founded by the collector, where the fossil was said to be accessible for study by other researchers, is not scheduled to open until later this year. That could mean that other scientists can't know what the author described is true or not, said Omar Reginaldo Fernandez, an independent paleontologist based in the United Kingdom, who first raised concerns about the newspaper on Twitter. That could mean other scientists can't know if what the author described is true or not. Yeah, we already read that. A publication with Mexican material is always gratifying, says Felisa Aguilera Riano, a paleontologist of the National Institute of Anthropology and History, the federal agency that oversees paleontological research in Mexico. However, she says it is unethical to claim the existence of a museum that is not yet finished. It is totally clear that fossils considered national heritage are not marketable. On the 15th of April, Science published an erratum noting that starting the 1st of May, the fossil will be housed in the Museo del Desierto in Saltillo, Mexico, until the originally listed public museum is built. For now, the fossil is at the home of Mauricio Fernandez Garza, a Mexican businessman, politician, and fossil collector, who says the fossil is accessible to scientists. Co-author Wolfgang Stensbeck, a paleontologist at Heidelberg University, says the team followed all Mexican laws and did not purchase the fossil, which he says is officially registered with INAH as required. Fernandez Garza says he did not buy the fossil either. The shark turned up in a slab of rock after he purchased it from a fossil-rich limestone quarry in Vallecillo. He said, "I buy the rocks that might contain fossils." He says this is legal under Mexican law. He and Stensbeck say buying the slab saves potential fossils from destruction. Fernandez Garza adds that organized crime has recently taken an interest in Vallecillo site, and that other private collectors are now illegally buying its fossils. On the 8th of April, Science made an online correction to the paper's supplementary material, updating the fossil's current location and removing the word purchase from the materials and methods section in order to avoid a mix-up and misinterpretation of the circumstances around the fossil's discovery. We removed the word purchased, which, as we know now, caused unexpected problems. Stinisbeck wrote in an email. Local preparators, Margarito Gonzalez, the only Mexican co-author on the paper, cleaned and prepared the fossil. Fernandez Garza then allowed Stinisbeck and his team to study it in 2018. We obeyed all legislation in Mexico, Stinisbeck says. Aguilera Arellano felt that the original paper gave false impression that buying fossils in Mexico is legal. We know fossil trade exists, unfortunately, but she says, but we're trying to mitigate these actions. For paleobiologist Nusanaba Raja Skoob of the Frederick Alexander University of Erlangen, Nuremberg, hopefully I said that right, buying slabs from a quarry known for fossils seems to be the exploitation of a legal loophole, she adds. As part of the review process, the journal should already be asking these questions about provenance. Sasha Viganieri, a deputy editor at Science, wrote in an email that editors are proactive in asking authors to meet requirements pertaining to legality and ethical use for all paleobiological papers. INAH has other concerns. Aguilera Arellano says the author, she says, failed to comply with INAH's protocol of describing a holotype specimen, defining a new species. Holotypes should be stored in scientific public collections, she said, but the fossil is registered to Fernandez Garza's private collection. INAH's Paleontological Council says it plans to write to Science with its concerns. Stinisbeck agrees that holotypes must be stored in public access and says the new arrangements fulfill that requirement. When the paper was submitted, he said the fossil was destined for La Milaraca Museum, a public museum, then scheduled to open at the end of 2020 in time for the publication. The museum is meant to be a replica of Fernandez Garza's mansion and will house only a couple of fossils from his private collection, according to Fernandez Garza. However, the pandemic delayed construction while dealing with reviews and queries last year. The museum construction's timetable slipped our mind. Stinisbeck wrote in an email, all of us were convinced that the opening of the museum would happen. Here's some of his fossil collection. Or no, let's see, this is Fernandez Garza poses with a prized fossil specimen in the cover of the Science issue describing the new fossil shark species. So cool. Science editorial's policy requires all fossils described in the journal to be accessible to researchers, but allows fossils to be deposited in private collections as long as full public access is available. But some paleontologists are not pleased that the fossil is now in the collector's home and will reside in a museum with a private collection in the coming months. The private collection access will always remain at the discretion of the collector, says Rajesh Skoob. The Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, SVP, in its code of ethics stresses the need for public access to publish fossils and has called on journal editors not to publish on privately held specimens because private collectors can restrict access at any time, says Margaret Lewis, SVP, Vice President and Paleontologist at Stockton University. The Journal of Vertebrate Paleontology does not publish on such specimens, she says, adding that SVP plans to write science about the issue raised in the paper. The controversy over A. Millarque, that's Millarque, I don't know if that's what it's really spelled, but if it's malarkey, that'd be funny because it's a lot of malarkey around it. At the moment, when paleontologists are pushing to eliminate the remnants of colonial practices, an issue that inflames the debate over the paper. In Mexico, before a 1986 law made buying and selling fossils illegal, foreigners came, they worked, they took things away, and you never heard about it, says paleontologist Gerardo Carbat Shinona at the Eliseo Palacios Aguilera Museum of Paleontology in Tuxtla Gutierrez, Mexico. He wishes Steinsbeck's team had collaborated with scientists based in Mexico, as new INAH guidelines published on the 4th of February require foreign researchers to do. He says such partnership is key to following Mexican law and making sure fossils are collected and housed safely and publicly in developing Mexico's emerging paleontological community. Lewis echoes that view. Collaborating with Mexican paleontologists might have helped the author avoid this issue that rose in the paper. Rajeskub says, Eberhard Frey, a paleontologist at the State Museum of National History, Karlsruhe, and co-author on the shark paper, counters that as long as the local laws are followed, doing research without local scientists is not problematic. He laments that everybody is seeking jurisdiction arguments to get fossils nationalized rather than making international agreements to study them. In Mexico, paleontologists say the paper has served as a wake-up call. It's time to review ethical codes again, Aguilera Arellano says. For now, the new INAH guidelines require scientific collaboration, may help avoid new controversies. Carbat Canona says, I'm butchering all these names. I'm so sorry to these people, but it's an interesting turn of events. We are not closing the door to foreigners, but we do want them to be regulated in some way. Yeah, so that was some controversy in the fossil collection industry. So, interesting turn of events there, huh? All right, so let's see what we have next, because I am not quite done with my live from the Hive this morning. I swear to God, this lash is going to drive me crazy. But that was, the controversy. So thank you for sticking around for Paleo Peak. And, yeah.
Quattro spediti fratelli, ora sono 4 street sharks, simpatici e robusti, coi denti molto aguzzi. Sono con noi per far trionfare la giustizia e la verità. Sono un po' uomini, un po' squali, e secoli, però non sono tutti uguali. Quattro pinne all'orizzonte, i strisciar sono 4 eroe al servizio dell'umanità. Quattro pinne all'orizzonte, i strisciar sono proprio